Hey guys, it's Jasmine. Welcome back to my channel. Today's project is a design team project for Infinity Engravings, LLC, and I'll have a link to their website, their Etsy store, in the description box. So I'm going to start with some die cuts from Infinity Engravings, and I'm going to cover them with some Daniel Smith watercolor grounds. This is a different product than you're used to seeing. It's fairly new as far as I know, but you can take it and make anything watercolorable. So it's a medium that you put on top of, you can use metal or glass, or in this case chipboard. Put it on top and then it will accept watercolors, but not just accept them, but you can see them through it. And with the brown tones, the craft cardstock on this frame and all the die cuts, it would be hard to see those watercolors really show up because they're transparent. So I've went in with the just a blending tool and a little rectangular foam and added the watercolor grounds to the chipboard pieces that I showed in the beginning and now on this frame. Now I got this frame from Hobby Lobby. It's by Paper Studio, and it's called Ornate Frame, and it holds a 4x6 photo. So I'm going to do a couple layers of watercolor grounds on this just so I could get a nice white surface so that the color in my watercolors really shows through truly. Because obviously they're transparent, so you need a white base for them to show up accurate to color. So I did one coat on this, and it does dry fairly quickly, so you only need, I don't know, 5 minutes between coats. Did the first coat on that, and then I took some butterfly die cuts, also from Infinity Engravings, and added some white linen Delusions acrylic paint to these. I did a couple coats of the paint on those as well. Because I am going to paint the butterflies with acrylic paint, and I'm going to use the watercolors on the frame. I did end up losing footage on how I finished these two butterflies, but I used crushed grape and some more white linen from Delusions and just painted them with a brush. Just kind of did a streaky look. You'll see the final pictures in the end of how those turned out. So that's good and dry, so I'm going to add a second coat of watercolor grounds. It doesn't need to look even or anything, it just needs to be on there because you're going to paint over it, and that's going to cover up any streakiness or whatever. So to the right is my water and brushes, and to the left is my watercolor palette. I tried to show you the colors that I'm using, but the camera wouldn't focus. It was just too small. So basically I'm going to go in with greens and blues, a little bit of purple, and a little bit of pink. So I'm going in with I'm using a light wash of French ultramarine first, and then I will add in some phthalo blue and opera pink to get the purple. And it will keep the look of your brush strokes. It'll blend out a little bit because it's watercolor, but don't worry about trying to get a really smooth wash of color, because it's going to keep some of that brush strokes that you put on there. And I really liked the messy look, if you want to call it that, because it looks more like a realistic sky. So on the bottom I'm going in with hooker's green and phthalo turquoise, several different greens to give it a little variation, a little life. And again, you're going to see a lot of those brush strokes. So don't get frustrated if it doesn't go super smooth on there, because it's not going to. And these do dry fairly quickly, so you can layer them a bit. So you can see that they're blending out slightly, but you can still see most of the brush strokes that I put in there, which I ended up really liking. And I'm using a number 8 silver brush with these. So here's that original die cut, and it does have the watercolor grounds on it. So I'm going in with my watercolors, and I wasn't quite sure exactly what I wanted to do with this. So I was just kind of playing around at this point. But I wanted to keep the green around the outer edges, and then I added, I think, blue and purple to the fairies themselves. And there's no right or wrong way to do these die cuts. It's just kind of an open canvas for you to experiment and figure out what you like and what you don't like, and things like that. So don't be scared to try something different. If it doesn't turn out, paint over it with some white acrylic paint and try something different. I did end up not liking the color on the fairy bodies themselves, so I did go in with some white acrylic paint after this is all dry, and paint the bodies of the fairies, and then added some glitter paint over the top to give them a little sparkle. And I ended up liking how that turned out a lot better. And the dark purple that I'm using here is a combination of phthalo blue and opera pink in my Daniel Smith palette. I wanted a lot of variation in the heart itself, that big green heart. So I did go through and add several different greens, because I did not want it one flat color. I wanted it to be varied. So we're back to our frame, and I'm going in with a mini blossom stencil by Tim Holtz and 3 different colors of Nouveau glitter paste. And the colors are, let's see, Tanzanite lavender, amethyst purple, and peridot green. And these are a super shimmery glitter paste. Really easy to work with, flows really well, dries fairly quickly. And you can blend these without worrying about muddying the colors, because the glitter is what holds the color in these pastes. It's not so much the medium that's holding the glitter, if that makes sense. So you can see that I blend these on top of each other, but they don't turn brown. And the tool I'm using is just a plastic palette knife, and both wash up fairly easily with soap and water. You don't have to use soap, you can just use warm water and kind of rub it with your thumbs, and anything that's dry comes off pretty easily. But if you do leave this to dry with a lot on there, it will ruin the stencil, because it'll dry in all the nooks and crannies in your stencil, and unless you want to have the headache of trying to scrape it all out, just wash it as soon as you get done and it should be fine. I let the first application sit and dry for probably, I don't know, an hour or so, and it was fine to go on top. The issue I did run into with this section specifically is that because there was glitter paste underneath that one section of the stencil, it didn't want to lay flat. So I didn't get the detail of the stencil as accurately as I would have liked. It's not too big of a deal because I ended up putting my little letters and some buttons there anyway to kind of hide it a little bit, but it's just something to keep in mind. So in that bottom green part, I lost some of the detail, and then that straight edge was kind of bugging me after I lifted it up, but I still liked how it turned out. And when you're applying glitter paste or texture paste or any kind of medium through a stencil, don't use too much pressure, because you can end up removing medium you've already laid down if you scrape too hard. And you can go in and kind of shape it a little bit with your palette knife like I'm doing. So that's all of our glitter paste applied. I am going to let that sit and dry. So after everything's dry, it's been a couple hours by now, I went in with some gel medium. I'm using Dina Wakley, but I also really like the Prima brand. And using a palette knife to apply some of that on the back. Now I'm patting that on so that I don't scrape too much through the detail in the wings and stuff of the fairies. And you can also use your finger. It washes or peels right off. So, and then all of these buttons, flatback pearls, and sequins are from 28 Lilac Lane. She has several different mixes in different colors and different patterns and things, and I love these. They're so much fun, so versatile. You can mix and match them. And I've got a little blob of matte medium off to the side there that I'm dipping everything in and then applying it. Now it's not going to stick immediately, but after it dries, it's not going to go anywhere. So my letters, instead of watercoloring those, I did put the watercolor grounds on them, but it wasn't showing up well. So I just went in with acrylic paint, and I used dilutions, crushed grape, and vibrant turquoise on those, and then put a little bit of clear glitter paste on top, just for a little sparkle. Because this is going to go to my 4-year-old niece, and little girls love glitter. So big girls love glitter too. Who am I kidding? So I think that's going to be a lot of fun for her. So I'm using my buttons there to kind of camouflage where I lost some of the detail with the stencil. And there's that large swallowtail butterfly that we painted originally, that I used the purple and white on. And I kept that one relatively plain. I didn't put any glitter on top of it, just to give a little bit of a textural difference between that one and the current butterfly that's on screen right now. It's a little bit smaller. I did add some clear glitter paint to that one on top. And so you'll see more close-up, different sections of the frame in the pictures to follow, all the stills. If you have any questions, let me know. Don't be afraid to give this a try. It was a lot of fun, and it's really pretty, really personal. So give it a shot. Give yourself a chance to stretch your horizons and get out of your comfort zone. So thanks for joining me today, guys. I will see you next time, and have a great day. Bye-bye.